Hello, BookTube. I was in the middle of complaining about not getting any books on Sunday or on Monday when several of the ladies who contribute their opinions so bashfully and soft spokenly to my channel suggested that perhaps I should save some books and open them on Sunday. So that's what I did. I've got a small pile of them here, so this is not a Bleak and Barren Sunday. Not technically, anyway. So let's go through these and see what they're like. The first one is a novel. Please Do Not Disturb by Robert Glancy. Who is Robert Glancy? Amiable-looking young man. He was born in Zambia and raised in Malawi. At 14, he moved from Africa to Edinburgh, and then went to study history at Cambridge. His first novel, Terms and Conditions, was published by Bloomsbury in 2014 to critical acclaim. He has recently been awarded the Grimshaw Sargison Fellowship in New Zealand, where he currently lives with his wife and children. Okay, all right, and what is the book? This comes out on November 15th, and Charlie, a curious boy with a dangerous dictaphone habit, eavesdrops on the eccentric guests of the Hotel Mirage as the African nation of County Cork, prepares for the annual appearance of its glorious leader, whose name is McConnell. Sean, an Irishman who's given his heart and the best part of his liver to County Cork, struggles to write the great African novel, if only his crazed fiancée and fierce thirst would stop distracting him. Okay. So very transcontinentally, sounds like. Very international. Interesting. Let's move on from there. Not as those of you who watch this channel will know, I'm not the biggest jump out of the gate fan of fiction, but I'll give it a try, absolutely. See, this is considerably more up Steve's alley. The Murderous History of Bible Translations. Power, Conflict, and the Quest for Meaning. This is by Harry Friedman, who's a writer and academic with a PhD in Aramaic. Good Lord. You don't have one of those. Contributes all the time to Jewish cultural publications. Okay. Great. All right. This also comes out in the middle of November. Let's see here. The author explores the often treacherous act of translating and interpreting the Bible. The Bible has been translated far more than any other book, and in the modern age we tend to take it for granted that believers can read their sacred text in a language they understand. Anyone who knows the history of the Bible will know that's a bad thing to take for granted. Erasmus could have told you that. Not to mention all the people who died, burned to death. However, the history of the Bible translation is far more contentious. These translations are at the root of an astonishing number of religious conflicts that have plagued the world. Friedman recounts fascinating stories of interpretation and translation. Okay, so this comes out in mid-November. From the pub sheet, it seems like it will be a fairly accessible beginner's trot through the subject matter. Nothing wrong with that at all. Might not hold Steve's interest quite so much, but we'll see what he does with the sources. Let's see here. This. Oh, God help us. Oh, my. The title of this one sounds almost like a threat. The Daily Henry James. This is a year of quotes from the work of the master. And if we know Henry James at all, this is just one quote. That's the University of Chicago Press, proving once again that the inmates are running the asylum. The Daily Henry James. Okay, this also comes out in mid-November. If you were told there was a book by Henry James that no one knew about, would you believe us? The rediscovered gem in your hands is one such book. Originally published with James's approval in 1911 by a devoted Boston fan, this quote of the day perennial calendar is proof that 100 years after his death, the master can still surprise. Okay. I know you're all curious, so let's find one of those quotes and see what you'd be in for on the toilet every single day. July the 2nd, from the Golden Bowl. He knew his anti-naval history, knew it in every detail, and it was the thing to keep causes well before him. What was his frank judgment of so much of its ugliness, he asked himself, but a part of the cultivation of humility? If what had come to him wouldn't do, he must make something different. Okay, I'm drowsy. Don't know about you. I don't know how we're going to top the daily Henry James, but let's give it a try, shall we? What is this? Oh, very good. Oh, excellent. All right, this is the very pretty finished copy of Lawrence Bergreen's Casanova biography. Very nice. Oh, look at that. Very nice. Okay. I am pretty sure I will be reviewing this for the Christian Science Monitor. It comes out on the 1st of November, and it was fantastic. Just fantastic. I already had a lot of respect for this guy, for this author. Not for Casanova, but for this author. But this is by far the best thing he's ever written, in my opinion. Excellent. Okay. All right, we're moving along here. We're approaching the end of a mail haul on Sunday. What was that? All right, what have we got here? The Powers of Darkness, the lost version of Dracula, by Bram Stoker, and right underneath his name is Valdemar Asmundsson. Don't know who that is. The book is translated from the Icelandic with an introduction by Hans Cornel de Roos, with a foreword by Darcy. What on earth? Translated from the Icelandic? I tell you, I never know what's coming in the mail these days. I make requests all the time. I'm in constant contact with publicists, but do I know what's coming in the mail? No, I don't. I'm surprised all the time. The Overlook Press is proud to present the literary event of the season with the release of Powers of Darkness, more than a century after the original publication of the classic Gothic novel that inspired a new generation of literature. In 1901, Icelandic publisher and writer Valdemar Asmundsson set out to translate Bram Stoker's classic novel Dracula. Called Macht Myrkana, this Icelandic version was unnoticed outside the country until 1986, when Dracula scholar Hans Cornel de Roos, all right, there he is, realized that Asmundsson hadn't merely translated Dracula, but had rather penned an entirely new version of the story. Incredible. With new characters and a reimagined plot. The resulting narrative, stamped with Stoker's blessing, is one that is shorter, punchier, more erotic, and rivals the suspense of the original. Oh, okay. This is the first English translation of the main text of the novel. It's fully annotated. It's approved by the Stoker estate. Okay. All right. So I have two questions about Powers of Darkness. One is for me, and that is, just how fast can I get to this? I'm thinking in the next hour. And number two is for the rest of you, specifically for any of you who are in Iceland. Have you ever heard of this? It apparently had a century of existence in your country before the outside world knew about it. Have you ever known about this Asmundsson guy and his book? Feel free to tell me in the comments. We have a couple more books to do, but I don't think anything's going to be more interesting than an Icelandic version of Dracula. Oh my. Carl, let's move on though. Oh, we have multiple books. Okay, what have we got here? This is by Walter Weiss. It is Morocco in the Labyrinth of Dreams and Bazaars. Isn't that pretty? My 4 visits to Morocco were not pleasant. In fact, they got successively worse as time went on. A kaleidoscopic array of influences: Phoenicians, Romans, Arabs, Berbers, Muslims, Jews, European colonizers. Moroccan society is a culturally rich and diverse as any in Europe or Africa. This is a travel book about Moroccan society. How interesting. Okay. This comes out at the end of October. Probably in a paperback? Yes. Okay, in a paperback. And then what have we here? I will be very happy if these are all travel guides. It's I don't travel anymore, so it's one of my favorite things to read. This is The Road to Santiago, Walking the Way of St. James. The great pilgrimages of Santiago with your clamshell on your belt. This comes out at the end of October. Each year, over 200,000 people pilgrimage to the... Are we using that as a verb now? Are we? To the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela in Spain. Often called the Way of St. James, this journey has been an important Christian tradition for centuries. The Road to Santiago, previously published in cloth as On Foot to the End of the World, is one man's incredible story of walking almost 1,000 miles to experience it. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so somebody at the University of Chicago has decided to give us great older travel guides. And then the next one is the same thing. It's called Seeking Provence by Nicholas Woodsworth. There's Provence, not a bookstore in sight. A region steeped in fable and myth, Provence is a cultural crossroads of European history. Nicholas Woodsworth, who was born in Ottawa, Canada, married into a Provençal family and has lived in the region for decades. Lovingly recounting vivid details of life in Provence, he provides here a welcome antidote to the typical rosé-tinted romantic view of it being a perennially sunny destination for tourists. I would be willing to bet my bottom baguette that by the end of this book he is reinforcing that picture, not disproving it. But it doesn't matter. This is fantastic. Look at that. It's a whole run of travel guides. I wonder, is the Morocco book old as well? Or is it... I didn't catch any hint of it being old in the descriptions. But it is. Yes, it's from 2004. Okay. All right. Great. So travel writing classics. Then the last book for today. What is this? Huh. It's a historical novel. Very nice looking one too. The Shores of Tripoli. Look at that. By James Haley, Lieutenant Putnam and the Barbary Pirates. So we're not straying far from Morocco. What is this? Oh my, he has tons and tons of blurbs, whole page of blurbs. The Shores of Tripoli is the first adventure in a new series of historical seafaring fiction from award-winning historian and novelist James Haley. Why do I know his name? I could swear I know his name. What did you do? Oh no. Okay. All right. I do know his name, and I know some of his nonfiction, and I have been unkind to him in reviews, but I haven't ever read his fiction, so all is well. Following in the tradition of the great naval series by O'Brien, Forster, and Cornwell, Haley creates an American naval hero whose story parallels the first decades of our nationhood. Bliven Putnam is 14 years old as The Shores of Tripoli begins, just starting his service as a probationary midshipman. The first in his family to choose the sea, young Bliven is an eager greenhorn aboard ship, willing to learn and take chances. His ship, the USS Enterprise! Don't need to read anymore. Steve is sold. Oh my. Okay. I will read about the USS Enterprise in any incarnation. All right, so there you have it. That is our Sunday book haul. The Shores of Tripoli, set aboard the USS Enterprise, an Icelandic version of Dracula, the pretty finished copy of Casanova, the Daily Henry James, not to be read while operating heavy machinery, history of Bible translations and the ills that people have come to, and a novel, Please Do Not Disturb. So a typically varied haul, and it does take the sting out of what would otherwise have been a Bleak and Barren Sunday. So I have those shy, soft-spoken ladies to thank for that. Ooh.